Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Kechidori.
Hey Bill, it's Yeukai here, and glad you're tuning in for another session, which is an outstanding session. I say outstanding because I've had a brief conversation with Tom, our guest today, and he has enormous information and knowledge that I think you're going to love. And I know we've got so many people joining in here, perhaps for the first time. If it is for the first time, make sure to review and leave a review either on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as we call it now, or on Trust Pilot. There will be a link somewhere here. Would love to hear how this is going to help you, and what is your take on this, so that we can keep on improving. Now, today, you know what? We always have amazing guests, but today is rather special because we're talking about leadership. John Maxwell says, organization rise and fall with leadership. So we might as well, focus on leadership. And with me is a dear friend, Tom Kereszti, who is an outstanding industry influencer, coach, speaker, educator, and a mentor to a lot of people. Tom, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
We are excited to have you here as well. And we have entitled this episode, this conversation which we're going to have is the roadmap to outstanding leadership impact, where we're going to be covering the four main areas which Tom and myself believe are critical to creating an outstanding leadership that has got an impact, that has really served people, not only for a short period of time, but perhaps for the longevity of your organization. Tom, I know I've left quite a few things here, there, but for those who are yet to discover your work, would you fill in the gaps? Tell them how you got started as one, and also some of the amazing things you got happening for you.
Well, first, thank you for that lovely introduction. And just to quote my friend John Maxwell, who you already quoted, a grandiose introduction isn't worth much if in the end I don't deliver a couple of nuggets to your audience. So I really hope that your audience values some of the I would say life lessons that I've been through. And I would say, look, it's a lot easier and a lot less painful when you learn from other people's life lessons rather than from your own mistakes. So plenty mistakes. I mean, you asked me about my journey. I've made plenty of boo-boos, plenty of mistakes, and I've had a bunch of wins as well. But that's what life is all about. That's what your life journey is all about, is taking risk, failing. One of the things that we can talk about later a little bit is about, failure, and it's okay to fail. In fact, it's part of the process.
Yes.
So you learn from your failures, and then, pretty soon those failures turn into successes. And as I shared with you, my life journey has just been going through a bunch of doors. Opportunities open, and you kind of come to a door and a decision, say, okay, do I go down this road or I don't? Yeah. And then, that gets you to the next point, and to the next point, the next point. And I spent my first 30 years in corporate, in the corporate world, all over the world. I, worked on 6 different countries and on every single continent. Actually, I lived in 6 different countries and worked on every continent except for Antarctica. So that was the first 30 years. And since 2005, I've been either part or full owner of numerous businesses. I think it's number 4 or number 5 now. And, it's really just taking the first 30 years of experience of how large corporations do things and saying, okay, for this particular small business, is any of that relevant? And some of it absolutely is. And then, what's the stuff that doesn't make sense for small business, and leverage those things that do, and try to make a success of those small businesses. So I don't know if that helped you or hurt you.
It absolutely, it gives us, a perspective of where you are coming from in what we are going to be talking about. Because those are 4 things that we will touch on truly, key. Some organization rise and falls based on that. And for Bill, who is our listening audience right here, and many people are listening, learning those key things and applying, people can pick maybe just one of those things could be the missing link to success in becoming more effective, reaching more people, even making more sales. So I'm excited about this. One other thing that I would like to point out is you've been helping business owners, small business owners, for 16 years. What's it been like?
Well, it's been fun, right? Just like any individual that gives back and adds value to others, it's my it's my pleasure to see people succeed, right? I mean, the whole idea is that when somebody comes to you for help, the whole idea is to help them along and make them a better version of themselves, make the business a better version of their business, and make them more successful. So that's the fruits of my labor, of my working with people and developing relationships with those folks. So consultancy is kind of an ugly word, because a lot of consultants just say, okay, here's the thing, go do it, and if it doesn't work, okay, it's your fault. I told you to do the right thing, you didn't do it right, so give me my money because I'm a smart consultant. So I think that's the ugly world of consulting. The part of the consulting word that I like is actually forming relationships with folks and making them successful.
Yes, amazing. Absolutely amazing. One of the things before we dive into this that I love about you, my listeners knows that I'm a person of faith, and like you, your 7 leadership principles, they are built from a biblical perspective. What has been your take on the integration of biblical principles to leadership in the marketplace? How does that work?
Well, I say something very simple. You take 2 competing companies with 2 identical products in the same market. One company is run by biblical leadership principles. The other one is not. I guarantee you, the one that's run by biblical leadership principles will be more successful each and every single time. Right?
Why is that?
Well, because the biblical foundations that businesses, well-run business, and by the way, many businesses are run by biblical foundational principles. They just don't call it that. They call it things like we value our customers, or we add value to our customers. They call it, we have integrity. We have integrity in our organization. They call it these buzzwords. We serve our customers. So they call these buzzwords, but actually they're biblically founded words, and they're biblically founded principles. They may not call them that, but that's what they are.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, let's dive deep into this area of leadership, Tom, here. If you were to advise business owners who are looking perhaps to revamp their leadership strategies, or maybe it's new business owner who wants to create a thriving leadership environment, what would be the very first place for them to focus on?
Well, there's a number of things you can focus on, but as a small business owner, and I learned this the hard way when I opened my first business. That was Colgate-Palmolive or Philips Electronics or Reckitt Benckiser. Those were very powerful brands, and you can recruit really smart people. If you basically said, look, I have a brand manager position and I'm working for Reckitt Benckiser, you would have 100 people sending you resumes with executive MBAs on it. In fact, when I was general manager of Colgate in Eastern Europe, a friend of mine, Andrew from Citibank, called me and said, Tom, I've got a bunch of executive MBA students. They want to just talk to you, see what it's like doing business in Eastern Europe. So Andrew brought these guys in. So it turns out the executive MBA program was from Oxford. So I've got 10 executive MBAs. So, and if you're part of executive MBA, that means you're already in the workforce. You achieved something, and they accepted you in their program. So, these are very highly intelligent people. They want to talk to me to say, okay, what is it like to do business in Eastern Europe? And after our 45 in this discussion, 4 people left their resumes behind, so see if, I'd like to hire them. So with a large organization comes the power of the brand, and that has a lot of magnets to it, not just because, the products are branded, but the company stands for something. And then when you open up a small business, and you want to hire some really high quality individuals, they come to you and they say, well, who the heck are you and why should I work for you? I mean, I don't know who your brand is, right? So the most important lesson I would give to small business owners is to have the only way quality people are going to work for you is they will buy into you. So they're going to buy into you just like they buy into a large brand, but they have to get to know you to buy into you.
That's right.
And in order for people to buy into you, you have to know who you are. Right? I mean, if you're not sure of yourself, if not sure of where you're going, if you're not sure about your personal qualities, what your values are, what your character is like, it's going to be very difficult for somebody to buy into you.
That's true.
If you're of yourself, then people say, yeah, Tom's a pretty cool guy. He's had a long journey. He has some ups and downs, and I think I could work for Tom. I think I could buy into Tom because I know what Tom stands for.
That's right.
If Tom doesn't know what he stands for, then why would I buy into him?
Absolutely. The more you know about yourself, the better you present yourself, and you attract people who are on the same path with you. I give you a quick story. Right at the beginning of this year, I started, this mission of training others on how they can start their podcasts, how they can literally scale that and monetize all that. And I went on Clubhouse, which is one of the new platforms that is there. And because I was so sure of my abilities and what I can do, because I've been doing this for several years now, I have attracted some amazing clients that have come into what we are doing and business partners because of that clarity of knowing who I am, what I can do, what I'm about, and what I'm creating. In fact, Tom, you like this, I got clients before I created the entire program. How cool is that? Simply because of this concept which you have covered. And so if you are listening, Bill, and many listening, if you want to get started on the right path, as Tommy is saying, take some time out to really work on yourself. Look into who are you, what are you trying to do, and how are you going to be adding value to the rest of the world. And then you go out, find people who can partner with you to make that a reality. Let's talk about the culture for a moment, because that's one element, Tom, that you wrote in your book that defines leadership success.
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up, so I didn't hear the question. Could you please repeat?
The culture deciding leadership success. Let's explore that for a moment.
To explore leadership success?
Culture. We talk about organization.
Coaching. Culture. Culture. Okay, that's the difference between American and English. So sorry about it. So culture. So culture is extremely important, and what I would say to any organization, large or small, is you don't have a choice about culture. You will have a culture. Right? It's either going to be organic, where it kind of grows on its own and develops into and evolves into whatever, or you purposely put format around it, design it, live it, breathe it, and then it has the culture that you want there, right? But make no mistake, you will have a culture. If you don't pay attention to it, if you don't consciously design it what it is, then it will just your organization is going to adapt the culture, and that culture may not be something that you like, right? That culture may be laziness, that culture may be dishonesty, that culture may be no accountability, so all those things are values that will appear in a culture if you don't consciously design it. Yeah. So my definition of organizational culture is really equivalent to a person's character. We just talked about a person's character and how extremely important it is for somebody to work for you and buy into you. Well, the same thing with a culture. Like a culture is just an organization's character, right? It's just not one individual, but it's larger. In fact, what happens with a lot of startup companies is, let's say you have 2 or 3 partners and they start up a company. and nobody really pays attention to culture. But what will happen is one of those founders has a domineering personality, and his culture becomes, his character becomes the de facto culture for that organization.
Right.
And then 4 or 5 years down the road, one of the other partners looks up and says, "Hey, man, this is really not what I signed up for. I need to sell my shares. I need to get out because this is not working for me anymore." And the only reason that happens is because those 3 owners never had a discussion up front to say, "Look, what do we want our organization to be like?" Right? It just kind of happened.
Right.
So, and the sad thing about leadership and the sad thing about organization culture is it's become very conscious now. There you see a lot of articles are about it. There's a lot of money being spent on leadership training and organizational culture and all that stuff. And with all the effort and with all the money that we spend on it, why are we so bad at it? I mean, there's just a lot of organizations still get it wrong. They have poor leadership. So it just, kind of, I scratch my head with all the money and all the attention we're giving this. Why are we not better at it?
Yeah, it is intriguing. I think it's not knowing as much around this, still learning personally, is not taking time to look at what are we creating and analyzing the feedback and using those surveys that you can put through to hear exactly where is the pulse of the organization. I think all leaders who takes account of what's going on, they have a better feedback mechanism to respond to what is happening and create an environment that they truly want.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is equally blame other people that come into an organization. Right? I tell people all the time, look, before you join any company, and it's so easy these days because every company has a website. So before you join any company, do some research on it. And any company website, and when you go there, it should be very apparent from the website what their culture is. It should be clearly outlined, right? You should see some kind of statement about what the environment is to work in that company. You should look at the offices of that company and say, what are their individuals like? You should be some values listed on that website. Should be a vision or mission statement on that website. And look, just do a test with you. This look, what this company is about. Does that agree with me? And could I thrive in that environment?
That's right.
If you can, don't even bother to take the interview, because I guarantee you a year from now, even if you get that job, you're either going to be leaving or they're going to be firing you because your culture, your character, and your values don't line up with what that company is. And then if you look at that company website and those things are missing, well, that's a big yellow flag for me, right? That's a big yellow flag to say, okay, well, why doesn't this company share with the world what they're all about? What makes them tick? What's their why?
Yeah.
So that would be a big yellow flag for me. Again, like, okay, maybe you don't want to take that interview.
Yeah. It truly is amazing. And for those listening, this is an area that you can intentionally create a culture that you want to have in your organization. Tom, if you were to advise somebody to create a great culture, what are some of the things you would say, hey, focus on this and this and this, and you have a great culture? What would you say?
So let's take, for example, because you have a lot of small startup companies in your portfolio of listeners. Let's say I want an entrepreneur culture. Right. So I'm going to define an entrepreneur culture. Well, what kind of values would an entrepreneur culture embrace? Well, those values would clearly be being able to quickly and openly and honestly communicate with your colleagues, because there's not going to be a lot of colleagues, right? So it's not going to be a large infrastructure. It's going to be a fairly flat organization because it's entrepreneurship. So connecting and communicating with people has to be extremely important, right? Failure cannot be punished. If you want to be an entrepreneur company, you have to actually reward trying and failing.
That's right.
You can't say that I'm going to have a compensation structure that punishes you because you fail. Well, if I have a compensation structure that punishes you when I'm failing, I'm never going to try. Right? So all those kind of things, go hand in hand where you put together a culture which consists of processes, systems, people, compensation, vision that really embraces all those entrepreneur values. And then, that will fuel the entrepreneur world. That's why companies like Microsoft, they actually, when they see somebody have a good idea, they go, hey, here, 5 guys, you got a great idea. Here's, $2 million of seed funding. Go start your own company. Because, they know in a large organization that entrepreneur spirit, because of the bureaucracy, is never going to survive. So they rather give them, $2 million in funding, let them start their own company, and then buy it for, $100 million. It still makes sense to them, because if they took that same idea and left inside that large bureaucratic organization, it never would have flourished. It never would have happened.
That's right. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love that for sure. One of the things I've personally discovered that when leaders incorporate celebrating success, it breeds the desire to be successful. What's your take on this one, Tom?
Well, the first thing is, if you ask 100 people, what does success look like? Probably 70 people can't tell you. Because look, success is very different depending on the eyes of the beholder, right? I mean, success is not just about success on the job. Success is about success in life. The example I use a lot, it's not a great example, but Ruben Mark was the CEO of Colgate-Palmolive, and he was the CEO and then I think chairman of the board for about 10 years, and he was a darling of the Wall Street in the 80s because he hit every quarter for 10 consecutive years. So I mean, Wall Street loved him. Very successful person, leading Colgate-Palmolive. He lost his son to a drug overdose when his son was like 18 or 19 or 20 years old. So, okay, was he successful in business? Absolutely. I don't know. Right? I mean, I know if I was an individual that made millions of dollars as a CEO of a company and made that company very successful, but I lost one of my kids, I wouldn't think of myself as success. In fact, I would say the opposite. The opposite is, look, if you're a leader, you should be able to lead your family first before you can lead the business, because look, those are the people that are most close to you.
That's right.
If you can't coach and mentor your kids, how do you expect to coach and mentor employees? If you don't have teamwork inside your family, how do you expect to have teamwork inside of an organization? And I'm not saying I'm great at it. Sure, I made lots of mistakes in my family, but if you get that right, then you should be able to get some other stuff right too. And in fact, I say, look, in the end, when I'm 6 foot under and everybody's sitting in the eulogy of my funeral, I don't want them to say that Tom was a great success because he bought X amount of companies and sold Y amount of companies and did this and this and this. I want them to say that, hey, here's Tom's kids, and look at the way they turned out.
That's right.
How are they contributing to life? I think that would mean a lot more to me and my legacy than, hey, I made 5, 10, 15, $100 million for somebody.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing, you can have both, because if you can learn to do that, you'll be able to lead organization. One of the things, Tom, that I love about your book, that you quote in your book, is the importance of having clarity in your vision, being able to articulate that so that people can run with it. Would you make some comments around the whole creation of a vision and communicating it to your organization for our audience today?
So look, both culture and vision, they are not things that you put on a poster and put on a wall, right? They're really tools for your organization to move forward and to grow. So if you focus in it on vision, all right, vision statements have to be, what I would call your roadmap, right? Vision statements are not something that will change every 3 to 5 years. Vision statements are, 20, 25, 30, 40 years looking out. Dave Martin said it the best. Dave Martin said, "Do you have a cathedral vision?" Right? As the Sagrada Galia, which is the church by Gaudi in Barcelona, when they first put the planning in there, that was a 200 to 300 year build. So can you imagine designing something that is going to outlast your legacy in your lifetime? So I think Dave, nailed that on the head. Have a cathedral vision. And then the other thing that a vision statement has to be, it has to be very simple for people to understand and buy into. Whenever I see vision statements from companies that says, "Hey, we want to be great corporate citizens with, supporting our environment and our local communities, and we want to add value to our shareholders," I'm like, what the heck does that mean, right? So make it simple, make it easily to understand, and make it so people can buy into it. So I'll share with you my personal vision statement. My personal vision statement is man of God, leader of men. Right? That's it.
I love that.
So how does that help me? Well, the way it helps me is every time I come to a major decision in life, I run it against that vision statement, right? So, okay, this particular opportunity that just came up, is that a leadership opportunity? Right? If it's a leadership opportunity, that checks one of the boxes. And then the second question is, does it honor God? Right? And if either one of those fails, then I don't do that, whatever it is. I don't go through that door because it doesn't pass that test. So what that helps you is that helps you keep you on that roadmap. You don't get distracted by the latest shiny object. And great companies that have a simple vision statement, and when they're putting together their 2 or 3 year strategic plan and annual budget, if it's a product launch that doesn't hold up to that vision statement, they should not be doing it, because that's just distracting them. That's just like, well, competition is doing it, so we must be doing it, right? You have to be true to yourself, right? If you talk to Simon Sinek, he doesn't call it a vision statement. In fact, he says, "What is your why? Why are you doing it?" And the company uses as an example is Kodak. Kodak was extremely, they were an imaging company, and they were extremely successful early on, and they just kind of lost their way because they lost their why, and they weren't true to their vision statements anymore. And then before you know it, they were selling paper. Right? They were not about imaging anymore. They were, selling paper and copying machines and stuff. So, they just lost their why, and they lost sight of their vision statement, and they just started looking short term. Next quarter, how do we make the numbers? And they just lost sight of the big picture. Yeah. So that's what a great vision statement does. Just to kind of circle back and wrap up, is it shows you the roadmap, and it keeps you on that roadmap.
It certainly does. There's a scripture that says, "Write the vision so that he who reads it can run with it." Be that simple, so that a layman in the street will understand what is it you're trying to achieve and how you're going to go about it. I love your personal statement. Very simple, one-liner. I'm going to borrow some of those and use it in my own life, which is incredible for sure. And let's dive in. We're coming toward the end of our time here together, but I really want to cover, the strategic growth thinking, because that's another area which defines great leaders and people who are not so making so much impact in the world. What are your thoughts about being strategic thinking for growth?
Well, look, growth is the key word there, because I don't want to be more overweight than I was yesterday. I don't want to be in poorer health than I was yesterday. I don't want to be poorer than I was yesterday. I don't want to have worse relationship than I had yesterday. So I always want to better and improve myself. So that means growth. So growth is a key word. Yeah. Strategic again is just to make sure that whatever you're growing in, it keeps you on that roadmap that your vision describes. So look, ultimately, I don't care if you're a $50,000 organization or you're a $50 billion organization. Your planning is going to always answer two questions: how am I spending my money, and how am I spending my time? It's always going to grow. It always boils down to those two simple questions. So for example, let's say you're a $50 billion organization. Well, how am I spending my time? It really means, what are your people working on? What are your employees working? That's how you're spending your time. And how you're spending your money is, okay, well, you know, am I buying companies? What marketing spend that I'm buying? What kind of advertising spending I'm buying? So those are like, how am I spending money that actually is leaving the company versus time, which is actually, money staying inside the company. So it always boils down to those, two simple questions: time and money. And then you basically simply prioritize into 4 quadrants your activities, and it's time and money. So the first quadrant is, and we don't have a lot of options on this. And by the way, whether it's time or money, it's never time management. Whoever tells you that you have a time management course for you, they're lying to you. No such thing. You and I have the same 24 hours of the day. The Pope has it. The president has it. We can't get more than 24 hours. What we manage is priorities inside those 24 hours. So the first thing is, we can't help it. It's urgent and important, right? It's those things that, hey, it's my number one selling item. It's urgent to me. It's important to me. I need to support it. I need to keep the fuel going on fire. So and most of us probably spend about 65% of our time things that are urgent and important. Now, however, the problem is there's another quadrant that's urgent but not important. Right. And we tend to spend probably about 20% of our time in things that are urgent and not important. And it's just human nature. It's urgent. I must act. I must do something. It doesn't add value to me. It doesn't help me with my strategic growth. It's not a part of my vision, but it's urgent. So I want to do it. And you just need a wake up call and kind of, have a talk with Jesus just to say, look, this is just not important. And then there's another quadrant, which we rarely pay attention to, and that is important but not urgent, right? So the trick is that 20% of your time that you're spending on urgent but not important things, stop doing those and start doing 20% of that time or 30% of the time in things that are important but not urgent. So you take, for example, my book. Right, I'm really, really blessed that this book is out there. A lot of people are reading it. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it in Barnes and Noble. You can find it in a number of online retailers and distributors in the UK. So it's a great book. But look, 3 years ago, when I started working on that project, it wasn't urgent. Right, it was important, but it wasn't urgent. So it was only where I forced myself and I disciplined myself to say, look, I have to work on this book. I have to write. I have to come up with stories. And I have to allocate a chunk of my calendar, a chunk of my time where I'm working on this book. God knows it wasn't urgent. It wasn't, paying the bills. It didn't matter if I did the book today or tomorrow or next year, but it was important. And it wasn't until I made that the conscious decision that I was going to work on this. And even though it's not urgent, I need to put those building blocks in place, right?
That's right.
And lo and behold, 3 years later, I've got this great book that people will love reading, and I'm really blessed to be able to share that with you, not only your audience but many other audiences, where it will hopefully help them learn from my mistakes and my wins, right? So, and then the fourth quadrant is just really unimportant. Is, look, it's not important, it's not urgent. So if you already know it's not important or not urgent, then don't do it.
Yeah. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And if you are taking notes, this is something to take notes on, because this truly can change what you're trying to do. We want to finish off here on time, but I know you have a great belief in sort of cultivating inner circle. Give us just maybe 2 thoughts on that, and then we'll let people go, because there's been so much great information already.
So inner circle, very quickly, because we don't have a lot of time. The objective of your inner circle is to support you, right? So you don't want to surround yourself with people that you can't trust, and you don't want to surround yourself with people that are not there to help you make dream come a reality, right? So you may have people in your inner circle, it may be a relative, it may be a business associate that's not really there to help you. They're there to help themselves. So make sure that whoever's in your inner circle, they believe in you, they believe in your dream, they support you, you can trust them, and they help that dream reality. The other thing about inner circle is diversity, You want to put together a diverse thinking inner circle, right?
That's right.
So, because what happens is we have a tendency to surround ourselves with like-minded individuals. But the problem with that is if everybody thinks the same way, everybody has the same blind spots. So everybody is prone to making the same mistakes. So you need to surround yourself with an inner circle of very diverse thinking. And we can spend the whole episode on, what's the different methods or ways that people view problem solving and view the world. And you can basically put them into, 4 quadrants, but I don't think we have time for that. But again, so for example, right, it was I think about 2001, 2002, as part of the Wharton Fellows, which I belong to, we went to Seattle to talk to Costco and Starbucks. And Orrin Smith was the CEO of Starbucks at the time, and Howard Schultz was already the chairperson at the time. So, being that they had a bunch of smart Wharton executive fellows in the room, Starbucks, here's an assignment. We're starting to ramp up our international expansion. At that time, Starbucks in the early 2000s was very prominent in the U.S., but they just started going into, give us some thoughts on what it's going to take to go international. And my thought was, and I led our group and I presented for our group, and I said, look, all I have to do is look at your board, your C-suite. And your C-suite has a bunch of white guys from America on it. If you want to go international, you better get a bunch of names on there like Ramos, like Schmidt, like, Tagliatelle. So you need diversity on your C-suite if you want to go international, because you guys are all thinking alike. You think you're a bunch of American soldiers that can kind of conquer the world. You need diversity. And large organizations are very good at this already. If you look at, if you look at Pepsi, and I'm not sure right now if that's the case, but last time I looked, it was an Indian woman, right? So it was a female, and she was from, the Far East. If you look at, a lot of large organizations, you start seeing a lot of diversity in the C-suite, where people are from all over the world, very successful people. Yeah. But look, if you're from Brazil, or if you're from China, or if you're from Poland, or if you're from America, you will look at the world a little bit differently, right? If you're a woman versus a man, you're going to look at the world a little bit differently. So, part of our gender and part of our skin color does influence the way we look at the world. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the diversity of thought. And a good inner circle has very diverse thinking.
Oh, I absolutely love this. The more diverse you are, the more you are able to meet the challenges that are presented to you, because we all have got a different experience and the way we look at things. I love that. Well, there you have it, Bill. If you're looking for a leader to train you on how to become more effective in your leadership, now you know who to reach out to. Tom, where can people find you, and maybe mention your book so that people can get access to it as well?
Yeah. So the easiest thing is go to Amazon, because that's, everybody can find Amazon, and just look up in Amazon C-suite and beyond.
Amazing.
C-suite and beyond. So then we have the first link, which is to the book. The second thing is my last name is pretty unique. So if you Google my last name, you'll find me and my sister. And my sister's an OBGYN doctor up in Massachusetts. So, and the last name is Kereszti, Kereszti. You won't find a lot of us, and that will kind of get you to my LinkedIn. If you want to connect me through LinkedIn, you can get to my website. So just, last name, Kereszti, Kereszti, and easy enough to find me. I have an open door policy. Just drop me an email and let me know how I can help you, and I would love to get back to you on that.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And Bill, if you hope you took a lot of notes, just like I have here. Love the whole concept of leadership and having great inner circle, all those 4 areas we talked about. And again, reach out to Tom or reach out to us in the community. We love to help you. Like I always say, never leave a place of discovery without creating an action plan as to how you're going to implement what you have discovered today. I learned that from Tony Robbins, Men of if you know that. So I want to encourage you to do exactly the same thing. What is that one thing that you've learned today that you can apply in your business, in your leadership journey, that may move the needle for you? Until next time, I want to leave you with my word, this word that I always leave you with: to live well, live with passion, and know that the best is yet to come. Tom, once again, thanks for being on the show here. I loved having you.
All right. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Goodbye, and talk to you, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.